Oh, I didn't see you there. Well, hello there, my dear fellow friends, sinners, saints, and whatever you may call yourself. The reason why I'm holding a rifle today is because I'm gonna tell another World War One story. And since it's the 22nd of December, and it's Christmas, well, at least here in Denmark, on Saturday, I think I might tell you a little Christmas story from the First World War. So, a little bit of context. We're in December. We're in France, 1914. The Germans are on the opposing side, and on the Allied side is a combination of French, British, and Indian, and a couple of Canadians. So they have been fighting about since April of the same year, and things were generally pretty shit, if I do say so. I mean, first of all, it had been raining tremendously through the whole fall, and if you don't know, a World War One trench was often just dug out. Like, you would get a spade or a shovel and then dig about 2.5 meter deep hole, and then spread it out across hundreds of miles. So what happens when you mix rain with the dirt? You of course get mud. It was very muddy, and slowly but surely the trenches were beginning to overflow. This means like the flooding was horrendous. It even meant some of the rats were even searching out of the trenches. But luckily, at the middle of December, it began snowing, and the temperatures began to drop rapidly. This meant that the mud and the water became ice, which became a smooth and flat surface to walk on, which you hadn't have to make worse of your bloody boots and make the worst of your rifle. Then we get to the 24th of December, and we're about in the afternoon. There hadn't really been going that much fighting on during the day, but still the tensions were high between the Allied and the opposing side. But suddenly, some French, British, and other Allied soldiers began hearing this while in the trenches: Silent Nacht, Heilige Nacht. That is the German version of Silent Night. And well, some of the British heard that and thought, why not return fire? So they began singing back and forth, and they kind of began shouting Christmas greetings to one another. And when it kind of got, when it began to go dark, the Germans put up tiny Christmas trees, which is known as Weihnachtsbaums in German, with lights on. The Allies was bloody horrified about this because they thought that was a signal to signal a fire and attack. It wasn't. It was peace that night. Many of which going with singing Christmas carols in both trenches, shouting things to one another like Merry Christmas and Frohe Weihnachten. Then we get to the morning of the 25th, and now is where it gets interesting. At about noon, a British soldier is looking out on no man's land, trying to see if they're coming something, like for example, they are rolling in a new artillery, they are applying a charge, or whatever. But he just sees one singular German soldier walking across no man's land, and he kind of starts there like, what is he doing? That's a life threat. Because no man's land is a horrendous place. Basically, no man's land is a place between two trenches, which is filled with barbed wire, mines, and generally dead corpses. Then that soldier goes up to the German. They stand on the field and shake hands. The Christmas spirit has stopped war, but just for a little while. The rest of the day goes kind of, well, with both sides kind of putting the war on hold. Like, for example, they exchange presents with each other. Like, for example, some German soldiers have received some German sausages, and some British soldiers have received plum pudding. They then trade them, and they give each other merchandise, like memorabilia, like medals or caps. A German soldier is even willing to give haircuts to other soldiers. And, well, they also play football, because why not? It's the middle of the World War. And if the thing that Britain and Germany certainly likes is footy. And, well, the most of the evening goes with small talk, and something in Danish which is called hygge, which is a form of interaction between one another with a common goal of just trying to be cozy. Some drink, some don't, some just take it easy, some go for walks. But come to the evening, both sides looks at each other and kind of says, "Good night, we'll see you tomorrow, and be ready for the fight." Now, the Christmas truce of 1914 was sadly over. The next day, the attack had begun again, and, well, the war continued until 1918. The war which has now become known as the Great War. But this doesn't mean it's all over yet. Because if you know me personally, I'm a big fan of a metal band, which is known as Sabaton. And it's a metal band that generally sings about war. For example, on their newest album, The War to End All Wars, which is the name called which was also another name that World War I was called, except the Great War and World War I, they have a number called Christmas Truce, which generally is a kind of metal Christmas carol, if you can say that. But it's generally good. Listen to this. Just go on Spotify, YouTube Music, or YouTube in general. Just type Christmas Truce Sabaton. And then you'll find a great piece to play during the holiday season. And that, my ladies and gentlemen, was the general breakdown of the Christmas Truce of 1914. A sort of, sign that sometimes war can be put on hold, but not for long. Well, I got a storm trench nearby. I thank you very much for supporting me throughout the year. This is my final video of the year. I'll try to be more productive in the next year. But because I'm coming in a bigger grade, I need to focus more on my studies and whatever. But thank you very much for your support. If you can do me a favor to bring me more into the Christmas spirit, you can like the video, subscribe, share it with other people who might also like my content. I am thinking about getting to edit my videos because I've recently got me a computer which I can edit on. I'll think about it in the next year. This would make the video process longer if it wasn't already long as fuck. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.